And now we're seeing an all-round kind of consultation.
Of course, all-round kind of consultation. Vice President of Nigeria, Yemi Osinbajo, continues consultation still on the presidential race, which held a party meeting with the APC caucus in the House of Representatives, where he intimated them about his 2023 presidential ambition. The truth is that the Vice President is not leaving any stone unturned by making more consultations about his presidential ambition come 2023. He has declared and looking for a political structure that would make things happen for him at the All Progressives Congress presidential primaries coming up in May. And indeed, Nigerian politics is really deep, and one lesson that should be learned in Nigerian politics is that loyalty can never be permanent. And that is, of course, what is the phrase there in politics. No permanent friend, no permanent enemy, no permanent godfather, and no permanent godson. Because we have just basically see the vice president and the clash between the vice president, the clash of interest between the vice president and his former principal, the Ahmed Bola Tinubu. Of course, he said he knows of no son that is eligible enough to make such declarations, and this one is here. And they said there's no permanent friend. It's just a permanent interest.
It's just a matter of interest. Strong heart to be in politics. You need to have all of the shock absorbers you can possibly find if you're going to not have a heart attack by the time people get to react to what you have to offer. Now you're looking at the person of the vice president. He's trying to put up structures. I believe before now he probably must have done a groundwork to know that okay, for me to be successful in this event, these are the kind of work that I need to do. And at this point in time, it's just playing out probably from at the end of the day. A lot of things are going to happen. A lot of unexpected things are going to happen as far as the APC is concerned. In fact, the PDP and all the political parties. Where, like I think I said here some time ago that we're going to have a lot of massive defection if care is not taken from both the APC and the PDP. And with the issue,
I'm afraid that might not be the case, because quite frankly, with what is going on with all the law cases filed by the People's Democratic Party, which is the most prominent opposition, regardless of the ruling, I'm afraid at least they were shaking a bit at what came out. It wasn't as business as usual, like you would expect, and no one raises an eyebrow, no one makes a comment about it. Of course, now the public space is a lot on defection, so you must really have a genuine reason before defecting. It won't be just about interest. It won't be just about grabbing a political ticket from another political party to win.
Well, as far as politics is concerned, you will always have those situations where cautions are being thrown to the wind. And if you're talking about interest or reason why people have to defect, I mean, being, okay, somebody like Tinubu would say, I have been a founding father of the APC. I am more qualified than every other aspirant.
Tinubu is not occupying any public office.
Yes, he's not occupying. And then he would say, I am more qualified. I haven't been given any opportunity to serve Nigeria apart from giving to the growth of the party. So it's about time the party compensates me for all I have done.
How would he now leave a party he has suffered for? A party which he was a part of its formation from inception. Now, where would he be leaving to?
Don't forget the party was formed by a coalition of different parties.
That's what I'm saying. He was a part of it. So how...
Okay, my name is Hanson, who and we talk about who applied from state. I have my voters card to go get my voters card. It's not always easy. Man, you have to survive stampede. You have to survive long queue, and you have to survive fight, very tough fights before you even get to. And when you sometimes, I could recall that sometimes they were somehow where the officers will have to be shortchanged in order to break the queues and stuff like that. So it's easy. So it's a concern, very big concern.
Okay, my name is Faustina Obuizi. Well, talking about my experience getting a voter's card, I mean, it's so stressful.
Well, we sincerely apologize for that breaking transmission, but of course, yeah, we're back and still talking about updates, which we'll quickly wrap up with it now.
And yes, still talking about aspirations, Governor Domi Manjel informed the caucus of the People's Democratic Party in the National Assembly that his presidential bid is motivated by his selfless desire to revamp the economy of the country, that will attract foreign direct investment, industries, and general well-being of citizens. He expressed his belief that his education, exposure, and experience have adequately prepared him for the onerous task of leading the most populous black nation. He said this during his consultations. He appreciated the good work that the governor has done in Akwa Ibom State and expressed their goodwill towards his aspirations.
Well,
quite a commendable one.
Commendable, but this actually evoked mixed reactions in the public space yesterday, because he's talking about the economy of Nigeria. Now, a lot of times people would be tempted to ask, how is the economy of Akwa Ibom State? Are we doing any better? Can we replicate what we have in the state at the center? If we do that, perhaps we do that. Okay, let's say what we have is good enough. If we replicate this at the federal, in all 32. Well, it's an argument that a lot of persons are bantering upon at the moment, but well, we're not, I'm sure, that we'll get someone who will give appropriate response to some of the concerns.
As far as the Akwa Ibom politics is concerned, as far as Governor Odo Emmanuel's tenure is concerned, there will always be that debate of whether or not he has been able to achieve some level of feat in Akwa Ibom State as far as the economy is concerned. I mean, we know that there's been a few advancements that he has made. He has initiated a couple of policies that has been instrumental himself. But then at this point in time, speaking as an Akwa Ibomite, I would say the economy situation in Akwa Ibom, the average Akwa Ibomite would say it leaves a lot to be desired. And when you talk about the ratings of unemployment, you would recall that Akwa Ibom has always come up on top of the list as one of the states with the highest number of unemployment. So going by that indices, a lot of persons might question the capability of Governor Odomi Manjwa to lead Nigeria out of economic problems.
Perhaps he didn't have enough resources to maneuver with that, or maybe response to those concerns. And moving ahead, and we talked about his campaign train moving ahead. Governor Dom Emmanuel of Akwa Ibom State has continued his consultation with strategic stakeholders in furtherance of his political ambition by visiting two former heads of state, General Ibrahim Badamusi Babangida, retired, and General Abdullahi Abubakar in minor state, Mina, of course. He intimated the elder statements of his vision for the betterment of Nigeria that will be defined. He has congratulated him for his courage in stepping into the ring as a national stage, and commending the excellent manner by which his administration in Akwa Ibom State has been. They of course assured him of their blessings. And how far that would go, they are always blessing. I know that there are quite a number of aspirants that have visited former president of Nigeria, IBB, and Abubakar in Mina. I know Governor Wike was there. It's another thing to be blessed.
Well, the truth of the matter is, at this point, the former heads of state have a role to play when it comes to being consulted. You cannot, at this point, finger or point out a particular person that this is who you are going to, represent, or who you are going to favor at this early stage. So everybody who comes to you as a father is like a father who has multiple sons. This one comes to you, Daddy, I want to do this, you bless. Even if all of the children are vying for this, to bless them. Now, whoever emerges as the winner at the end of the day is not dependent on your fatherly blessing, but rather on the person's capability. So I believe that's what Babangida and all the heads of state and possibly the traditional rulers are doing at this point in time, where they give blessings and encourage everyone and, of course, advise everyone. So yes, Governor Odo Emmanuel definitely deserves the blessing, just like every other aspirant.
Then, nearly 45% of voters' registration have been declared invalid. 1.85 million PVCs are ready and yet to be collected. INEC have also made that known, and of course they say that to complete the voters registration across the country, those invalid votes need to be completed, and the Electoral Commission INEC has said that INEC chairman exercised on Wednesday at the commission's headquarters in Abuja. He presently said nearly 45% of completed registrations nationwide are invalid, raising a high of 60% of more than some states. And this infraction happened in all states of the Federation. No state is immune from it. And of course, they said this invalid registration would not be included in the registration of development is worrisome because of the time and resources expended in handling these cases. And then INEC chief stated that the electoral umpire would remain committed to transparency in the distribution of registration videos. How many months? And if you're talking about 45%, that's almost 50% of people who registered, you've declared their cards invalid. Now, what's invalidating it? Who are the persons responsible for this? And why are we hearing this now?
Well, as far as elections are concerned, a lot of things would definitely come into play. And for INEC to come out at this point to say that we have a majority of Nigerians will be disenfranchised. And when you do that, it therefore means that the 2023 general election is not going to be free, fair, and credible. And when it is not free, fair, and credible, then it gives room for a lot of post-election problems and crises to arise. So I think at this point, regardless of whose changes might be coming from that angle, is something that they do not just have to tell Nigerians that this is the problems we are facing, but also find a very quick solution to remedy the situation. Because Nigerians are not, I don't see Nigerians waking up to say, okay, we agree the election come, especially considering the time frame that we have.
They need an aggressive remedy. The remedy must come really aggressive because time is of the essence. And talking about 45% of voters registration being invalid, who really would be the voters for 2023 general elections? A question we need to answer. And we went on the street and we found out some persons who had some or two things to say about the INEC registration. And we might want to take a look, and when we return, we'll take the second part of the show. Please stay with us.
My name is Hanson, Akwa State. I have my voter's card, and I have voted twice, 2011 and 2019. But I could recall the process of having to go get my survive long queue, and you have to survive fight, very tough fights before you even get to. And when you sometimes, I could recall that sometimes they were somehow where the officers will have to be shortchanged in order to break the queues and stuff like that. So it's not always easy to have. I don't know if the government can do something about that, about making voters card, the process of getting voters card easy. So it's a concern.
It's so stressful. You go there, you queue, and then all throughout the day, they don't attend to you. You have to return again the next day. So it's not really a very nice experience. I think government should do something about this. Maybe there should be more centers for this voters card registration, so it will be accessible to people who are not who may not afford to get to the towns or the whole urban areas. So I just think government should do something about it because it's not funny.
Okay. What I'm seeing in this country, Nigeria, is they're making things difficult for people, especially in this region, as regarding this vote. Look for a way and make sure that people go into INEC offices and register, or they create centers where people register easily, because year in, year out, people are clocking 18 years and above. Some people that they said are not just because of the stress. That's why it takes your time. So they should look for a way, employ more people, create an avenue for people to have a free flow registration.
Okay, my name is Amy Serial, and my experience getting a voter's card, no funny at all, and you get to the place and everywhere is clustered. And people that are operating, they don't even care to do something about it. Honestly, maybe get more centers and then please employ people that are more human than the ones that are there, because they are very saucy and they don't care about human beings, and it's terrible, honestly.
So My name is Agbamodo Ikwo. I am a citizen of Nigeria. I did my voters card registration when Jonathan was in power. Let's say then everything was free and stress free. It was okay. Went in.
I'm a Nigerian, but as regarding the voters registration, I did mine in Cross River State. The stress wasn't much. You walk into the center and you register to take your data. You registered. At the end of the day, it will give you 2 months. You go and get your permanent voters card. So the stress wasn't much.
Glad to have you back. Yes, it's still political spectrum reaching you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. And of course, an agenda. What are the chances of the governor in, grabbing the party's tickets to run for the office of the president under the People's Democratic Party? A lot of persons would say, well, some people say that it's a means of the Northerners, getting hold of some of the resources we have. A lot of persons have traced it to be, that preempted to be maybe a replay of what happened some times ago in the 1999 when we had neglected, would I say, maybe was too busy to attend to state issues, hence he couldn't install a successor. A lot of people are already, thinking far to 2023.
Will stand or will measure up when it comes to the northern interest. Considering the fact that he's had considering the fact that the governor in recent times, in fact before now, have had some level of romance politically and otherwise from the corporate world with these different key play stakeholders in the political terrain. If I want to go by personal assessments, I would say to a significant point, he might be the kind of personalities from the northern region who come in to grace the occasion is encouraging. And judging from that position, you're definitely going to have the northerners probably fall in line. And then there's another angle. I mean, practically every politician, who is vying for the position of the presidency has when he became the governor of Akwa Ibom State. So there is that tendency that he's a new breed, he's a new face, and he's a new kid in the block. And then there's this thing that goes with being a new kid in the block. He can work either of the two ways, either in his favor or against him. So anything is possible.
Now, a lot of persons would think, yes, anything is possible, would repeat itself. Let's wind back to 2021 in Akwa Ibom State. We had Obong Victor Atta, His Excellency, as the governor at the time. And then he actually had a preferred aspirant, a preferred candidate who he wanted to succeed Babio on the side, still in the same political party. Now, he wasn't, Victor Atta, Gosula Kwabio wasn't the preferred choice of Obong Victor Atta. So the intrigues there was that the governor at that then was concentrating more on his presidential ambition because he had to attend an important function in Abuja, which had to do with his presidential ambition. And however the outcome against his preferred candidate. Bring it down to what is happening now. We have seen two strong candidates come out from the People's Democratic Party. And Pastor Meno happens to be the governor's preferred choice, which he has made clear since 31st of January this year. And now, in all indications, nobody saw it coming that the governor might be vying for the office of the president. But he was offered a form and he opted already. How would he cope with his personal campaign of running or vying for the office of the president and with supporting his preferred candidate? Do you really see a replay of history happening again in this country, in this state?
Well, I don't really see history happening. For one, there were lots of time, but this time you're looking at a governor who has chosen a completely natural person, a natural figure. And then talking about how this will contradict or come to play with his time. Basically, everything is about time. Nobody has time for anything or for everything. But you have to create time for the important things or the most important things in your life, election or thereabout. Wasn't really a matter of his presence on ground or not. Because when you talk about having authority over the party, being a party grandfather or grandpatron or being a stakeholder in the party, considering the fact that at the time was the governor, his presence or is ensure who emerges or to ensure his candidate emerges.
Was he supposed to preempt or to halt the process?
As far as the political terrain is concerned, he didn't need to rig the process. Everything is about setting in place the right mechanism. And so if he wanted his preferred candidate to win, I've ensured that his candidate emerged as the winner.
But he was
so
a Democrat.
Whether or not
he is a Democrat,
democracy or not, we understand how this dynamics works within the political system and the political parties.
We understand, right?
We understand. So if he had put in place the right structure, the right formula, the right formation, and put everything in place before staying in the structure that was put in place, or maybe we could say, as you would expect in the political terrain, that people who allegedly or reportedly had seemed loyal to his plans, loyal to his move, kind of defected at the end of the day.
If they were to be put on a popularity test, I think former Governor Godswill Akpabio would have beaten him too. He held a very sensitive office of Chieftaincy Affairs, Commissioner for Culture and Chieftaincy Affairs. He had to interact at the grassroots with all the persons that are involved. He had personal one-on-one relationship with all the paramount rulers. So all mechanisms were in place to favor him. It's not easy to disengage, but it is a likable character. If you want to look at the personal interest, we could see that Pastor Moino and Senator Basi Albert were at the consultation of the governor, His Excellency Governor Dom Emmanuel. I mean, practically one wouldn't say that they are having conflicting interests at this point. It so seems like they are working cards. Would there be a merger or a consensus? Well, but what we're seeing is that there seems to be flowing like real good, just that at some point their fan base or their supporters and getting at each other.
Well, it has always been the practice for supporters to be at loggerheads with each other's supporters, while the key players, are at peace with each other. And that's why most times we would advise and attack anybody, whether a young person or an elder, as far as politicking is concerned, which is the right move. And you've had the different paramount rulers who have, advised them within and outside the party system to not take into hate speech or accusations and blackmail and all of that. It's the right thing to do. But here's the deal. Whether or not Senator Albert Basi and Pastor fighting anybody, I do my thing, you do your thing. You pursue your structures, I pursue my structures. I do my campaigning and politicking, you do yours. I canvass for my supporters, you do yours. Well, when we are going to see the real fight will come after the party primaries.
Well, we could send that he had to go back and that the consultation didn't hold. And it was giving a perception that at some point they were into serious conflict. But seeing two of them stay under the same roof where His Excellency was actually consulting, sends a very good signal to the general public. I mean, I see no reason why, because you are showing loyalty or support to a particular person. I think Nigeria is really growing mature, especially Akwa Ibom, with the level of politics that is ongoing at the moment. Like, it's seriously, I feel maturity is being displayed at the moment.
Well, I would say congratulations to the level of maturity. It's been their supporters, the masses.
No, you wouldn't say so. You can't say so. Sometimes the bigger picture, the big people, they will be there. You don't know what happens behind the scene. There might be, at some point, it has been said that they might be sponsoring supporters to get on with this while they play the good guy out there. But then, quite frankly, and the key players on the field.
Well, it's a welcome development, and I hope that they sustain it, and I hope that the supporters are pay more attention to playing politics the right way, because violence at the end of the day doesn't favor anybody and is not going to benefit anybody. And then at the end of the day, if you happen to lose your life as a supporter who's trying to, fight for your principle at the top, you lose out. The principal remains, his family remains, his children remains, and nobody cares.
Got security in Akwa Ibom State. Most times is always rated as the most peaceful state so far. And a few months ago, he launched the Maintain Peace movement, which of course had chapters across the different local government areas in Akwa Ibom State, and it took the message to Lagos. I recall Maintain Peace Movement was in Lagos, Maintain Peace Movement was in Abuja. Maintain Peace Movement was in Port Harcourt. Perhaps one would wonder, was this already a structure?
Because we've never seen any movement within the political party step out of the shores of Akwa Ibom State. I mean, we'll have the Akwa Ibom in diaspora, we will have those movements, but it has never been organized at the magnitude at which the Maintain Peace movement was, conducted, and in the manner it was being launched all around the local governments and outside the state. So yes, one could say maybe the governor had already put in place structures to be able to align with the different local governments and different states. During elections, people do travel home to ensure that they exercise their franchise. Maybe he was just making sure that everybody from Akwa Ibom State who is outside Akwa Ibom State can have access to come back in time and vote the right candidate into office. So either way is debatable, but whichever way, I think is a commendable movement. But then you would agree also that the Maintain Peace movement is not really being considered by some Akwa Ibomites as a movement to maintain peace. Remember, recalling the candidates that have come out of government or constituents, he was not consulted. There were reports allegedly that he was not consulted and he wasn't present at that inauguration, which raised eyebrow to the question of respect when it comes to the political terrain, respect for his position as a serving senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So a lot of persons raise issues then that if you want to maintain peace, then it is very important that you carry everybody along with.
Looking at Maintain Peace movement as a structure, because away from being a political structure of what it's been, realized to be now, before then it was promoted as a form of message. Would I say a sensitization? It was more of like a reorientation of people to know that the essence of peace, to maintain peace. So I was wondering, are some progressives Congress not supposed to maintain peace? Are the people from the other political parties, aren't they, are they not part of, okay, if the PDP maintains peace and the APC doesn't maintain peace, then we won't achieve peace in Akwa Ibom State. So at some point as it unfolded, we saw chapter executives, we saw state local government executives,
we had wards executives,
and we had the state executive and strategic against 2023.
Well, people who have been following politics in Akwa Ibom State and the advancement of politics had known from the inception that Maintain Peace movement was a political movement. Whether or not the government put it as a message to Akwa Ibom people to embrace peace or sustain peace or not, persons had seen it coming. And then like you rightly, it's possible to maintain peace in Akwa Ibom State or any state when it comes to politics, because it is not just one person, that is responsible for peace. If you have the PDP maintaining peace and the APC, ABGA, Alliance, the rest of the political parties not maintaining peace, the problem is still going to be. Recall that during the 2015 election, when you had the crisis between Senator Okpano Odoyedere and Godswill Akpabio, and then we had a lot of destruction of properties within the state. This was not caused by a particular party. This was caused into consideration and bring a collective of everyone to the table. And since that was not done, then we had to, at that point, understood that this was just a political setup within the People's Democratic Party. And yet, that will also excuse the fact why Senator Albert was not, taken along because of his touted ambition for the position of the governor.
Oh, well, touted a position within the PDP, and we've heard phrases like it's only PDP that can defeat PDP in the state. We look forward to see a banter between the PDP-A and PDP-B, as the case may be. But that would happen after. Of course, we, like every other aspirant, we wish the Governor Tom Emmanuel, the best of luck in his ambition, at least Akwa Ibom to the world. And we look forward to see more aspirants, more presidential aspirants coming from this. At some point, we've seen posters of former Governor Godswill Akpabio, who also, as it will happen, I know it will still be a plus for Akwa Ibom. Now we're seeing more of former state governors and state governors in Rivers State, in Akwa Ibom. I think the Naudirit is yet to declare. But I know that Ben Ayade also has interest and might also declare in the long run. So we'll keep our eyes open and keep track with that. But for now, this is our show for today. Join us again tomorrow.
In every election, Voters is good governance is an approach to government that is committed to creating a system founded in justice and peace that protects individuals' human rights and civil liberties. According to the United Nations, good governance is measured by the 8 factors of participation, rule of law, transparency. It is the duty of every government to promote good governance through the design, formulation, and implementation of policies and programs aimed at enhancing the well-being of the citizenry and promoting stability within the polity. Good governance is characterized by participation,
Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Kong, Ukpabio.
Iyayo.
Ukpabio.
Iyayo.
Ukpabio.
Iyayo.
Education, they say, is the bedrock of development for any nation. For the pupils and teachers of Lutheran Primary School Oguduta in Ibesikbo Sutan local government area of Akwa Ibom State, the learning environment is not conducive for both. The major infrastructure However, the community, through Oguduta Development Association, have provided desks for the children. The latest provision, they say, was the donation of 84 desks by December 2021, which they say have not been put to use since there were no doors to protect the facilities from hoodlums. The secretary of the village, Mr. Niedi Andrew, and the head teacher of the school, Mrs. Midike Anyefio, have
tried with the Oguduta Development Association International and Atum provided about 84 desks for the pupils to assist the pupils in sitting arrangement in the classrooms, and also about 10 teachers' lockers and chairs. But unfortunately, these seats cannot be eaten there. It will be vandalized by hoodlums. I'm appealing to the government to come and assist us to refurbish, not to build a new one, but to refurbish the depleted classrooms in order to make learning good for the children.
We don't have drinking water, a good drinking water, not good toilet facilities.